I think Dr. Ramsey, oh, there we go. Request to join.
Did it let you download?
It did, and I
Okay.
posted it. I guess while we're waiting, we'll ask the fun question before talking about Warm Start. But one of the viewers asked, "How do I step up my hat game like Dr. Ramsey?" So you can answer that until as people
Come
come
on,
back in.
yo, everybody want all my secrets in one IG live. Y'all
I
want
know.
all my secrets in one IG live. I'm gonna start paying for all these secrets I want. No, this hat comes with a story. And
Oh
let's see,
yeah.
is Dr. Glover on here yet? Let's see.
Oh,
He's not, but he'll watch it later if he's
Ali, this
not.
is your question about the hat game.
Yeah. So Dr. Glover, if he comes on here, he'll be able to hear this story. So me and Daryl are at Vision Expo West last year, and we are, we're walking the showroom floor, we're shaking hands, kissing babies, we're doing our thing. And in Vegas, when you come out of the Sands Casino, I could see the hotel that we were staying at because me and Daryl were right there. So I
Yeah.
could see it. So I say, Daryl, why get an Uber? I can see the hotel. It's right there. And Daryl is like, man, I don't be
They're way
walking,
further
man.
in Vegas.
Yeah, exactly. Daryl is like, man, why don't we just Uber? I'm like, Daryl, it's right there. Like, why Uber? And I think I had too many drinks at that point. Let me give it
Yeah.
on the free drinks. So Daryl rolls with me, and we just start walking. I'm like, come on, man, just walk, man. Stop being lazy. So, of course, he then comes and starts walking. It is so far in Vegas, that walk. It is because the buildings are so big.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how far it is. It literally took us an hour and a half to walk home. My feet were bleeding. It was bad. But we're walking, and it's about like midnight, and we're walking. And it's this, you walk on the strip, all the stores and stuff are still open at that time. And this lady says, come. I got a hat for you. I got a hat for you. I got a hat for you. And I was like, listen, lady, I got a big head. So please don't try and come here for the hats. Like, it's not going to work. Like,
Right.
a hat. You're not understanding because of the angle I'm at. You're not realizing how big my head is. So don't waste your time. And it goes like this. And she literally puts this hat on. This is the first one. I have a few of them. This is the first one. And she puts it on, and it fits. And
Oh
for somebody with a hat that fits you, or an item that fits you so well that you've never, I was like, oh my God, how much is it? And then she told me the price, and Daryl was in the room with me. Daryl walked out before before the lady could even finish saying the numbers. There were too many zeros on the back end of this hat that Daryl, I turned around and I was trying to ask him a question, and he was outside the store sitting on a bench outside. It was like, I'm not even
I'm so done.
entertaining the rest of this conversation. And he walks out, and then so then you know what? Then I wore that hat the next day because I wake up and Daryl comes to the room and I'm like, what should I wear? He's like, man, you gotta wear the hat. The amount of money you pay for that hat, you gotta wear the hat. So I wear the hat, and literally you could see, because I'm already a tall guy, so you could see the hat across the trade floor. The hat is like literally bouncing around.
Walking.
Go from booth to booth. And somebody was like, hey, you're the guy with the hat. This lady told me you were coming by. They told me a tall guy with the hat was gonna come by. You must be that guy.
Oh,
so now the hat's my little signature.
Oh, okay. So the suggestion is to go to Vegas, find a
To
wealthy.
go to Vegas. There's a store in Vegas. You gotta go. There's a lady in there. She hustled me. She took all my money. And now I've bought hats and they mailed them to me. Now, when I call, they're like, hey, Adam. I'm like, they know.
Oh, you are still a loyal customer of those.
Oh yeah, they mail them to me. When you call the store and they know you by name, and they're like, oh, we got this new one in for you. That's not a good sign. That means they're taking a lot of your money.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. But I guess this would actually kind of play into the whole personalizing the experience and the product, because I know you do have your own frame line. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct.
Called Ethnicity, and that was used to, or that is going to be able to personalize frames for people who have really wide faces, or patients who are African American, things like that. If you can talk a little bit more about that process, what inspired you? Was it the hat? Like, how's the process go?
So I by another company, and they wanted to create a frame line for African Americans. And they approached me and said they were looking for a spokesperson, and they were looking for somebody to help design the frames because they saw the need in the market. They just didn't know exactly how to fill that need and fill that gap and what to do. So they were able to say, hey, we make frames, but we don't have frames for this market because currently there are Asian fit frames everywhere, right? There are a lot of manufacturers that have Asian fit frames, right? And they may call it global fit. They call it a lot of different terms, but it's there, right?
Right.
The question is, how come there's only global fit frames and everybody else? As if those are the only people. Those are the only pockets of people that need glasses. Are only people of Asian descent the only ones that have unique features? No. Now, Asian people do have unique features. That not having a lot of a bridge on the nose makes it very difficult to wear frames. So you're right, there is that. But African Americans have huge noses, and that makes a difference. And they have big cheeks. So the frames cut into their cheeks. And a lot of African Americans, you'll see there's lines on the side of their head because the frames don't fit them appropriately. So we've tried to make alterations for African Americans forever and say, we can just alter the frames. And I say no to that. I say that you should have frames that fit you, and you should be able to put it on just like that lady put that hat on my head, and it fit right away. There was, she could have even went higher on the price, and I would have paid because it fits so well. The same thing patients say in my office about the eyewear is when they put it on and it fits so well, it feels so good, what they're willing to pay for a well-fit frame is a lot more than what they'll pay for a frame that you have to make alterations and adjustments on. If you put on a dress and it just fits you perfectly, I mean, it hugs you the right,
Good times.
area, right? Then all of a sudden, what would you pay for that dress? Compared to if they said, well, it's a good dress, but it's a little big, it's a little long. You need to take it and get it altered. You need to do this, you need to do that. Well, I got to factor that in. I don't feel the love in that dress the same way that you put on something and it just fits. You put it on and you feel like $1,000,000.
Right.
The same thing is what we're doing. So Ethnicity is designed for African Americans by African Americans. It is made in Japan. It has titanium hinges and barrel hinges. It is well designed, well fit. I've been using it in my office. It has been selling some of the frames that I can't even keep in stock, which has been great. And it's just because they fit well. And so the opportunity came, and I took advantage of it, but it's been a long process. I've been working at this for 2 years. So people see some of the stuff that's happening now, and they're like, man, Dr. Ramsey, you're doing this and you're doing that. I didn't start this today. This is 2018 and 2017 work that is bearing fruit in 2020. So, a lot of times we are in the generation of instant gratification and overnight success. There ain't no overnight success and ain't no instant gratification. On everybody and every story that you see, it's overnight for you because you didn't know about until today. But if you scroll back through, that person has been working for a long time.
Like, y'all just think about optometry school. Those 4 years, you thought you couldn't survive. That hustle.
Exactly. It's a lot of work. So, I've been working on this for 2 years. I brought some of the prototypes so you can see. These aren't the finished models. But when you do them, they send you rough, unfinished prototypes. So these were some of the and I made some changes on the shape. So the current frame is flatter at the bottom and flatter at the top. This one is more rounded than I liked, so I sent that back. There here they give it to you unfinished, so they don't want to spend the money to finish and polish them. You're really just getting on fit and shape. And then you look at the hinges. So I looked at the metal work, and I changed the rivets on the front. If you look at the current frame, it has an A in the front. For African Americans, people don't know that's a little hidden secret. That's on the front of the frame. So this one had it with just 2 across, and I sent it back because I wanted the A in the front, and that's the rivets that hold in the temples. So there are You know, it's a whole bunch of work that goes into it. And it's a lot of lead time to make the frames and the lenses. You're talking about months to make a design and draw something out and then get it molded and made and sent over. And then you approve it, and then you go back and you got to make a lot of pieces. And then you finally get it. So, you know, everything that seems that happened overnight is probably years of work that is overnight to you.
Right, right. For those of you who are joining, I pinned Fayez's comment, which is that if you have any questions that come to mind, please post them. We are doing a raffle. We have the list of handles that are asking us questions. And so keep those questions coming. One of the next questions that we had that was actually from Ali again, but he had asked about social media and how do you set yourself apart nowadays. And I think going back into the theme of the book, you talk a lot about trademarking. You have a very unique story about how you started off as Iconic Eye Care, I believe, and then having to switch to Socialite Eye Care. And I think that's a really great story for those who haven't read the book. Just how important is it to protect your brand? And then you can also touch up on social media.
Okay. So for those who don't know, my office started off as Iconic Eye Care, and I got that name in 2012 when I first graduated, and I was doing moonlighting and side gigs, and you need to have a tax ID, you need to have a business for them. I came up with that name in school. We did actually probably 2011 I came up with a name, but I didn't use it until 2012 because you had in school you had to write a business plan or whatever, and I got a thesaurus and I wanted to be unique, and I found the word iconic, and I said, okay. And I went online, I got the name, I got the Instagram, I got the Facebook, I got the domain, and I went on my state website to register businesses. Nobody was called Iconic Eye Care. Got it. Let's go. And for a couple of years, I just used Iconic Eye Care when I would work on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday. They would pay me under Iconic Eye Care. Then when I opened up my office next to a private optician, I sold contacts and dry eye stuff, and I did the exams, and the optician next door did the glasses. I did that for 2 years. It was under the Iconic Eye Care name. I was billed on the insurances, everything. Then I opened up the new office with all the expensive frames and all that stuff. 2 years later, and I opened up under Iconic Eye Care. That's what I've been using. That's what I had. Come to find out that VSP actually had the trademark for Iconic Eye Care, but it was spelled differently. So it was spelled EYECONIC. So when I went to look up the name initially, I looked up the way I spelled it, ICONIC. So when you look up the name, I would have never spelled it the other way. And VSP was not using Iconic the other way. They weren't using it. They had the trademark, but they weren't marketing it. It was not, a fully vetted out idea concept. So when I looked it up with my spelling, and my spelling wasn't being used. Come to find out that trademarks goes by the way it's phonetically sounds, not necessarily the way it's actually spelled. And would what the trademark attorney told me is, would the public be confused from one for the other? Would they be able to tell the difference between the two? And lawyers decided, people that get paid more than me, decided that the public can't tell. And I had to change the name of my business. And I was pretty pissed at the time, and it was expensive because I opened in 2016. That came to me in 2017. So I just opened. I just spent all my marketing money, and I did all the flyers and the every door direct flyers and social media ads and the print ads and the newspaper ads and everything. I spent all the money, and now I have to rebrand and reuse a new name without having the cash from the bank loan, because the bank loan is gone. Now I'm using my regular every month, every day cash flow. So I didn't have an extra 50 grand to remarket a new name because I spent the money the first time. So I was pissed for a good little while. But you know what? I had to put my big boy pants on, and I had to decide on, this business is not personal. And, they have the trademark. I didn't know anything about trademarks. Like I said, I've read every single book in eye care, and not another one mentions trademarks. Doesn't. I at the time, I was the president of all the optometrists in my County, Palm Beach County Optometry Association. So after this happened to me, I go up to my next meeting and I ask all the optometrists in the room. It's like 70 of them in the room.
Yeah.
I ask, anybody here have their name trademarked? Not a single one had their name trademarked. So then I went home and said, okay, Adam, you're not stupid. You didn't do anything wrong because nobody else does it. It's just not commonplace currently in eye care to spend the amount of money it costs a trademark. It's not common. I just got the unlucky draw that a big company had the same bright idea from the thesaurus that I had and chose a name and trademarked it. So I had to just say, you know what? I had to figure it out. And this is part of the life lessons. So that's when I decided to write the book, actually. Because if you ask my mama, she would say, boy, you can't spell for nothing. So there's no way you're going to write a book. You could have
Don't tell me what I can't do.
Listen, you in the world, she would have told you I'd never write a book. She could have took her whole pension. Wouldn't it happen? And I decided to write the book because I was sitting there one day and I was like, why did somebody else write a book on this? Man, I read all the other books. Nobody told me. I read all the books twice. I've read E-Myth, all the ones I mentioned in part 1. I've read those books multiple times because every time I get something new from it. And it mentions nothing about that. So then I was sitting there and I was like, and I was about to call because I know some of the authors. And I was like, hey, your next book, why don't you put that in your book? And I was like, so hold on, why tell somebody else to put it? They didn't go through what you went through. So they can't give an authentic experience because they never did it. So you can give a more authentic experience than they can because you went through it. You had to deal with it. So let me just start writing. So I said, okay, let me just start writing. And a year later, it was a lot of work. I'm skipping a lot of the steps, but a year later, the book was out, and I figured, let me add as much content, as much value as I can to give back because I have a story to tell. Now, what I would say is, anybody who knows me knows I am not perfect. My office is not perfect. I don't have a perfect business. I am not a perfect business owner. I am not a perfect doctor. I didn't wait until I was perfect to write this book. I wrote the book out of authenticity. I wrote the book out of I have an experience and I'm sharing my experience with the world. Do I feel like I know everything? No. Now, I may tell my wife I know everything, but for everything else, no, I don't know everything. I don't have all the answers, but I have these answers, and I can help you with what I do know. And there's some things that I'm not going to know, and there's some things that I still don't know to this day. And I've learned some things since this book came out in January. There are some things I've learned since January. So you know what? There's more that you can learn. You never stop learning. And there are, so nobody can tell it from my experience, and I can't tell it from somebody else's experience. But if somebody can learn from me, and so that somebody else doesn't go, then I think it's value. There's a value add for that.
Oh, whoa, it froze for a moment here. Yeah, so I did a little bit of research because I was like, I didn't realize there was a difference between trademark, patents, copyright, and business domains. But essentially, your trademark is to protect your brand, and then your business domain, you could set up a site, but ultimately comes down to your own branding. How do you think? I guess the segue to another question, but more, about social media is that when did you realize that you needed to distinguish or set yourself apart on social media? How do you feel like, or what advice do you have for people who are entering this market that seems kind of saturated because we get all this content from different eye care providers, pre-optometry students or whatnot. So what is your advice to someone who feels a little bit unmotivated but still wants to do it?
I think goes back to the reason why. Why do you want to do it?
Mm-hmm.
This is not for the faint of heart. Doing things on social media, I'm giving up my evening, to do this. So it's not, you have to know why you want to do it. What is your why? So if you're doing it for the right reasons, it's not work. If it's you enjoy doing, I enjoy teaching and having other people learn and educating people. So this is not work for me, right? But if you are not, social media, you have to be social. And some people are not people. So if you're a people person, social media is not for you. You can't do social media for your business. You have to be in social media. You have to enjoy putting yourself out there. Now, what I would say is social media is social media. I am still a different person without the cameras on. You don't post everything. So some people think they know everything about you from social media. No, you don't. You know what I posted. You don't know everything about me. You don't know everything about my business. You don't know anything about everything. You just know what you see, right? So I would say to look at your why, like why are you doing it, and look and see what can you add and what's your value add for it. Look and see, social media is, but you have to use it in the right way. The one pitfall that I see, and this is just me, I'm a very blunt, honest person. Some people like to combine their personal life with their social media. And there is some overlap, right? But there are some things that should be in a personal lane, and there's some things that should be on a business page. And what I see is a lot of people have combined it into one. So they will put a date night with their husband on the same page that they're talking about eye-related stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That is not the same audience. You have to know your audience. And what I've noticed and what I see is a lot of people have a personal Instagram page that they've had since undergrad. Then they graduate and they change the title of the page to a business related page, but almost all your followers are your friends from high school. That is not your business page, right?
Right.
But the reason is they don't want to start over and start a new page because they won't have no likes and no followers. So you want to post it on a page just to get likes and follows. And that isn't it. The audience is supposed to be different. The person who's going to come to you, because the whole purpose of posting on social media for a business page is to get people that actually will utilize your business.
Right.
It isn't to get 100 likes of people that will not support you. It's to get 100 likes of people that will patronize your business. And your auntie that lives in Canada ain't coming to your business. So getting a like and a comment from her does nothing for you. So a lot of people combine those two things, and they were like, well, they don't realize you're not supposed to combine those. Those are supposed to be separate things. Content is supposed to be specific and targeted to your specific audience. And I see very few people, they want to do the likes and the selfies and the beautified pages, and it looks perfect. Necessarily, what it depends on what your purpose of that content is. Is it just to get likes, or is it trying to drive traffic to your business? And that's different. I use social media for different. Dr. Ramsey is directed at professionals, right? It's directed at other optometrists. Social Life Vision is directed at people that live near my office and would like to patronize my business. And then I have a personal Instagram page that is for my college friends and undergrad and people I grew up with. But those are three. Now, there's some overlap in the content. There is. But there's some things that I'm going to post on my personal page that I'll never post on Social Life Vision page, right? But I see a lot of people that I'm seeing, even on this page right here, I'm scrolling. A lot of people on here have one page, and you are mixing content, which should not be. You should not have your patient that saw you yesterday also sees you at a concert the next day.
Right.
They do not care about that. They don't. That's not what that's supposed to be for. That's my personal opinion. Other people can have different ones.
Right. You're not actually the first person that mentioned it, but as I was seeing these handles come through and someone had commented on that earlier, I figured we'd bring it back up again. But definitely important to know your
People
audience.
don't want to do that, though. People don't want that advice. When I say that, a lot of people don't want to start over because they got 2,000, 3,000 followers that like your selfies and whatever pictures, and they're doing it for the likes. And that's the hard part about social media, is that you get sucked into the like and the love and the admiration of people liking and commenting. And I know people, and I'm gonna stay out because I get controversial. I know people that if they don't get enough likes or comments on the picture, they take it down.
Really?
What was the purpose of that? The whole purpose was to get likes and shares? No, if you want to put out the content, put out the content. If it's not for that, take it down. But sometimes that isn't meant for that audience. You're mixing your audiences.
Right. So we have just, a few minutes left. Faiz, sorry. You're going to start tallying who has asked questions. You're going to tell us who our winners are. We'll announce that in just a bit. But Dr. Ramsey, I know you've started a new initiative with Dr. Glover, and it's called the Black Eye Care Perspective. So I figured this is a good time to kind of talk about, why you started it, how you began that, kind of how that plays into the whole private practice journey, and kind of how we can all kind of learn to be more inclusive in our practice and in terms of designing a business that's catering to everybody. So just kind of talking about inclusion and things like that.
Okay. I thought this was going to be a long thing. We had a broad amount of topics.
Well, we
but,
can stay as long as you'd like.
whoa, no, I get my wife would kill me. So no. Black eye care perspective was another thing that people are seeing now that we started years ago. So, like I said, same thing. People see, oh, it just happened overnight. No, some of the stuff that I'm doing, it seems like it happened overnight, but it started in 2016. It started in 2017. And it's just coming, people are finding out about it now. But the reason we started Black Eye Care Perspective, because one year, me and Dara were at Vision Expo, not the same Vegas one. I think it was New York. And we're sitting in the trade floor, and literally we look to the left and we look to the right, and me and Daryl were the only Black people the whole day. The whole day we saw it was just me and Daryl, and we were like, the eye care industry is missing the voice of African Americans. There is a perspective, there is a narrative that needs to be told from Black optometrists that is being missed right now. So we put our heads together and say, how can we create a space in which African Americans feel listened to, heard, and seen? And how can we help industry professionals that necessarily may want the advice and understanding of African Americans, but when they go to the trade shows and the conferences and they look and they network, they don't see that many, even though there are a lot of African Americans don't conferences, they get a lot of their CE locally. So they will get missed at a big conference. How can we provide that information and content so that they understand what inclusion and what diversity is? Because a lot of people are comfortable with the idea of needing to diversify, but not necessarily wanting to be inclusive. And there's a big difference. You can have a lot of people in your company, but none of them have a seat at the table, and the diversity numbers don't matter anything. You have to be able to be open. You have to be able to be, people actually want to join your company or organization or go to your school. And, a lot of the schools are asking, well, how come we don't have that much Black faculty? And you got to go back and look and say, well, if a student went through 4 years at your school and never felt welcomed, never felt heard, never felt seen, why would I want to stay on afterwards and be a staff at the same school that I did not enjoy my experience while I was there?
Right.
If I go through your school and I look on the walls and all I see are white men as all the presidents and everybody is in charge, would I feel as an Asian woman, would I feel as a Black man that I would like to stay on in that environment? Maybe not, because you obviously do not value diversity based on what you have shown. So, the issue is not always diversity, it's inclusion. So we started Black Eye Care Perspective to do that, to give a voice to African Americans and to give the opportunities for some of these companies to find African Americans to join their ad boards, to join as consultants, to join as key opinion leaders, to help more optometrists get into the profession. So we're doing something called Impact HBCU, in which we are going to, initially we were going to go to all 107 schools in person, but because of COVID, now it's going to end up being an online platform in which we're connecting with every single school. And we are doing a presentation on learning about eye care as a profession for yourself. And then because of that, it can be at any school because you can go anywhere. So if you are in high school, in undergrad, and you would like to learn more about eye care, Google Impact HBCU, or you can do the BEP Pre-Optometry Club. The abbreviation is BEP POC, Pre-Optometry Club. Where you can go on Facebook and get more information about that. And we want to just get more people exposure to the profession. So we started a pre-optometry club that's nationwide. So you can go to any undergrad or any high school and join that club, and you will get monthly meetings where you will learn about eye care, learn about optometry. Even if you're in optometry school, you'll be able to learn about low vision and contacts and VT and different practice management tools, and get exposure to different parts about eye care, because not until I graduated did I learn that I could do something with my optometry degree besides see patients.
Yeah.
I didn't know that optometrists work for companies, and there are medical sales science liaisons that work for Alcon and Zeiss and Novartis and B&L and all of them, and they don't see patients and they make money. I did not know about that. I did not know you could do research and never touch a patient and just literally do research on contact lenses and drugs with your profession and with your degree. And I went through 4 years of a great school, and I still don't think I understood that until I got out. All I understood was which is better, one or two, and Tobradex fixes most things. I don't think I understood most of the other stuff when I got out, and I think we want to provide a platform in which more that is all understood, and that is all going to be given them opportunities. So that's what it's there for. It's a lot of stuff, like I've been telling you throughout this, is a lot of stuff that I've been involved with, and we've been doing it for years, and some of it's poking its head up right now. But I would watching this, you can do it too. I wrote the book in my imperfection to let somebody else know that if I can do it, you can do it too. There is nothing stopping you. So the name of the book somebody's asking is Play Not Checkers, The Practical Guide to Warm Start Your Dream Optometric Practice. You see this face right here? You can't miss it. You scroll through, you can't miss that, okay? I was debating on putting my face on the book, and I said, you know what? My mama said my face was for TV. It was not a radio face. Mama said I got a face. So you know what? Let's go ahead and put that on the book so you can't get my book mixed up with anybody else's. I don't think there are too many people that look like this on any of the optometry books. So I was like, you know what? Let's go for it. Let's go big or go home. And I wanted to educate people and give them opportunity. So I am not perfect, and I think if I can do it, you can do it as well. You just got to put in the work. You just got to want it and knowing your why. And that's what the book really goes throughout. So anybody who did not answer your question, 90% chance your question is actually answered in the book. So if you're frustrated that I did not answer your question today, I'm really sorry. We're trying to answer as many as I can. Literally, the book is $5 for the audio book, $10 for the ebook, and the printed book is $25. And I have thousands of dollars of ideas and secrets that I learned, and I paid consultants thousands of dollars, and I learned and put my own spin on it. So what I paid thousands, you can pay $25 and get. So read the book. It gets some more answers. And if anybody messages me afterwards, if you ask a question that's in the book, I'm going to say read the book. And then after you read the book, when you say, hey, on page 10, when you said X, Y, and Z, can you expand on that? I will answer that question. If you ask me a question that's in the book, my response to you is going to be read the book and put it out there.
Well, that's a really great offer for our readers or anyone who's watching us, is that he's going to answer your question if it's not in the book. I feel like I didn't realize how much went into it, and I really appreciate being able to kind of go through that process and take all these notes on it. So I did consume the book through the audiobook, but I would say there's so much good content on there. I would recommend buying the book to have a physical copy to kind of go through, write things if you need in the notes. One thing I also didn't realize was how much chess I learned through this about all the different, themes, like how do you attack, like things like that. And I think I really appreciated the format of the book. So we do have our 4 winners of the signed copy of your book. Our first winner is Dr. Ali Mayamar. Our second one is a handle at Latina Optometrist, so Dr. Sydney Madrigal. Sorry if I'm not saying the name right. Third is _ Shawan, so Dr. Rashid. And our last one is at I Ahmed, Eduardo Cruz Aragon. I believe that's the student. So message us so we can get those books to you. We're really excited to be hosting this book discussion. We have many more books in our book club, but Dr. Ramsey agreed to speak to us, which is really great. Do you have any parting advice or words you want to speak?
I would just say I'm happy with so many people logging in to ask the questions and being educated, because if you ask students freshman year of optometry school, do you want to be in private practice? 100% of the people raise their hand and say yes. And then when it comes to graduation, 70% of them are in commercial settings. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's because you got to be educated throughout. So your intentions are one thing, but having the information and having the goals and the proper platform and having the proper mentors and knowing what to do is what changes in between those two things. So take the time, read the book. After you read the book, you can hand it off to a friend. Now, there's a lot of places in there where you write in there, so it might be hard because you'll have your personal information when you're writing in there. But that's just a start. You know, it's meant to start a conversation in your mind and start a conversation for yourself, so you can figure out what you want to do. Private practice is great. I will tell you, I love it. Even through COVID, the stress of my practice was shut down for 6 weeks, and you know what? I was actually kind of happy because I hadn't had more than 4 days off in a long time. So for me to have 2 weeks that I didn't go into the office and I was in basketball shorts, that was amazing. So some things that are negative for others can turn around to be positive, and it gave me a chance to reset and redo my office and come back with a new energy, and come back with implementing new ideas. So there are a lot of positives. Optometry is a great profession. It's a wonderful profession, but we have to fight for it. If we don't, we will turn into pharmacy. We will be owned by grocery store chains, and you will have to work the schedule that the pharmacists work at. And we have to be willing to fight for it. And we have to be willing to say we have an independent voice and we have an independent way about practicing, that we want to fight for that independence. And you have to give yourself the opportunity. And there's nothing wrong with commercial settings once you know what you're signing yourself up for, once you're comfortable with that, because there are some times where that's a better setting and that's a better situation for you. There's nothing wrong with that. I worked at almost every single commercial place. And would I do it again? Maybe, you know, but when I decided I wanted to work for myself, then that's what I did. And that answer and that story is my own. And the person that's reading this book or that's watching this video has to decide for themselves is, what am I willing to sacrifice? What am I willing to give up? How much am I willing to work to actually work for myself? Because currently I would say that I am self-employed, not an entrepreneur, because I still have to go into work. All I did was change who the boss was. Right. I only make money when I go to work. I still got to say which is better, one or two. The only difference is I pay the rent and I pay the bills, but I can't, if I don't go to work for a week, I don't get paid. So I'm still currently just self-employed, right? Just working for myself. There is another level to this where you become an entrepreneur, which I'm working at. But I just chose to do it on my own dime, and I'm still learning. There's stuff I learned today that I did not know before. There's more to come. There's more to learn, and you'll always keep learning. You know, you when you graduate, most of the stuff you learn in optometry school, 5 years out, it's obsolete. So you have to continue learning. There are things that I do and how I prescribe and how I do stuff today that I never did in school. So this is just one step in the journey, this one step in education evolution to learn. So continue learning, reach out to people, look for mentors, look for guidance, ask the right questions, and absorb all the content. There's way more Zooms, podcasts, webinars, books out there, and ebooks and all kind of free content that's out there that you can learn, educate yourself. You just got to be willing to do it.
Right. And I just realized we never fully answered warm start versus cold start. And I was like, this is really great because we're warming everyone up.
Oh, yeah, we told us to pause on that, and we never did it at the beginning. All right, so on the way out, so I'll explain that so people get on the way out. So a cold start to me is when you start with 0 patients. You just open your doors and hope for the best. I am looking at a warm start as if you build up some momentum, you build up some traction, you build up some buzz about your business, and you hit the ground running. So when I opened my business, I was booked out for a month when I first started, just because people knew about it. I've been talking about it for a year. The second I knew at a tentative date that I was going to be open, we started taking appointments. We were on all the insurances. We were on the Google. We built up some buzz to where People were referring patients in. We were doing stuff that people weren't doing in other places. And the warm start is getting a little momentum. And I would say if you don't start with some momentum when you start your business, it will be very difficult to start cold. To just open up and hope for the best. You would run out of money before you would be successful, unless you had a lot of money, unless you got a whole lot of money. And the more money that you have, if it was working capital, you would burn through a lot of it and you're paying interest on that. And if it was your personal savings, you worked hard to save that up. So you don't want to burn that out so quickly. So cold start is just opening cold, no help, no nothing. Get started, hope for the best. Warm start is building with some momentum, building with some traction, getting your business going, and creating a buzz and excitement and having a real game plan for what separates you in your practice and your business from the people down the street, and being able to answer, why would somebody come to you? And would you come to you? If you were looking at all the other businesses and you looked on there and you have 0 reviews and they have 110 5 out of 5 reviews, would I pick you? So why should I come to you? You have to answer that question. And it's going to take a long time before you have more reviews, because a person with 110, by the time you have 110, they'll have 200. So if I'm comparing offices, I will always pick the one, even myself. If I'm looking at 2 equivalent restaurants to me, and one has more reviews and is better, and they can see me next week, why would I go see you? So you have
Same
to,
for products on Amazon.
exactly. Why would I go see you? You have to be able to answer that question. What makes you special? Your customer service. Okay, can your customer tell that? If I look from the outside and I look on your website and I look on your social media and I look on your page, can I tell you have great customer service? I don't know.
Right.
If you just say I have good customer service, is that the answer? I don't know, that would woo me over. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why would I come see you? What is special? Do you offer something different? Do you connect with them differently? How? Why? What do you do? Do you take insurances they don't take? Is it just price? Are you going to be just the cheapest person? Do I just go to the cheapest place? Not always. Sometimes I'm paying for good service. Sometimes that massage that only costs $10 for an hour, I don't know if I want that one. My back really hurts. I don't want to pay $100 for my massage, because I got some real kinks I got to work out, and I need the person that is expensive. I got expensive back. I got real problems over here, you know. So it just really depends on telling your story appropriately and asking yourself, would you come see you? And if not, then you need to work on answering that question and giving the customer and the client a reason to come see you and a reason to drive. I have patients that literally drive from Miami and Orlando and Jacksonville to my practice. And I sit down in amazement in my own office and be like, you drove from where? You drove 2-3 hours to come here? And that, I'm even shocked myself. And I really look at myself and say, Adam, how far do you drive to support businesses? You know what I mean? I gotta look and see, people literally drive 2-3 hours to come to my practice. And I'm in there like, you did what? They're like, yeah, I heard about frames. Or I heard that you put my friend in these contacts and the doctor by me never offers me anything new. So you say, you know what? I'm going to take a day off of work and I'm going to come to your practice because I saw you on social media, or I read a newspaper article about you and this, that, and the other. And I wanted a real eye exam, because I don't feel like I get a real eye exam when I go other places. I feel like the doctor barely looks at me in my face. Bear doesn't even ask me my name, doesn't ask me anything, and then keeps me in the same context every year. So I want to try something new, and I want a new frame. When my eyes are really, really dry, and my last doctor always just gives me a sample bottle of whatever he has in the drawer. But that doesn't work. It never worked. It has never worked before. But he never asked me how well the other bottle did, and I thought that was my only options. I didn't know that there were other options besides the stuff that's in CVS. I thought that was it, because they never offered me anything else.
Right.
And my friend said that they came to you, and all of a sudden her eyes aren't bothering her the way they used to, and she can actually wear her contacts all day. So I drove up here because I need some real help. And I literally, you know, and that's a story that I have to continue telling. And that's a story I work on. Even to this day, I'm not perfected the online platform. Making sure that I tell that story to everybody so that they understand that story and that they understand what we're doing in the practice. And that's what's important, you know, telling that story answering the question, why would somebody come see you? And if you want to open that practice, sit down and write that business plan. And if you get frustrated at writing that business plan, you should not open, because you have to answer those questions on why should I see you? Would you see you? And what makes you special and what makes you different? And when you answer that question, you will have a really successful business. And after you do that, you'll be happy you did. You'll save yourself some headaches later.
Well, thank you so much for all of this knowledge. I really appreciated, you answering and spending this evening, answering all these questions and like spending this evening with us, because I hope your wife doesn't yell at you for going over the time a little bit. But really, I think we have some call to actions. We'll be posting that on our Instagram. Really start with why, start on that business plan, building that credit, and start reading the book if you haven't read it already. And then we'll get answers for you. And we just talked about so many resources we have. But you got to remember, we have each other, and we are a very tight-knit community of colleagues. And so, yeah, thank you so much for everyone for joining us. And if you're watching this later, we're still around.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to your audience. I like helping students. I like helping doctors and giving back and teaching what I know. So thank you for the questions. The questions were really good. You guys put it together really well. So I'm happy, and I appreciate being on the platform. And maybe we'll do a round 2 after everybody read the book. And what maybe we'll do is we'll do a private session only for people that read the book. And then people that have a follow-up question will get an answer, because I can see who bought the book and not. So everybody who said they bought the book, you're lying. Some of y'all didn't buy the book, because I can see. Amazon gives me a list. Amazon gives me a list of who bought and who didn't. So let's be honest. If you bought the book, I can tell. And then we can do a private session for those that actually bought the book, and we can go over, hey, page 6, you said this. I need some more information. Give me that, because I think that adds more value when you actually do that and you think about it for a little bit, and then you have an educated question. And that way, and I'll answer what I can answer. I may not know everything, and if I don't know it, I'll tell you I don't know it. And if I do know it and I can help you, I would love to do that.
That's right. Well, that's a really, really cool proposition. We will definitely look into that. I think that would be really great to be able to really delve into some of these topics, because we can't go over everything in an hour. So that's right. So thank you again for everyone joining us, and stay healthy and stay safe, everybody.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Bye.